I just got off the phone with David from Houston, Texas. He's 45 years old, and I told him I was about to do a video on the Nifty 50, and I asked him if he knew what the Nifty 50 was, and he said no, the words didn't mean anything to him. So I'm going to assume that there are several of you who don't know what the Nifty 50 is, and so I'll give you a little bit of an explanation. Back in the mid-60s through the 70s, the early 70s, there were 50 stocks that basically it was believed that you just buy them and leave them alone and they'll take care of you for the rest of your life, because they were the drivers of our economy and they were going to produce the kind of growth that everybody wanted. Here's a list of the Nifty 50. As you'll see, and I've highlighted some of them in yellow, that one way or another are not in existence anymore. And then here's another chart that shows of those that survived, where they're at and which ones are in the Dow, and give a little bit of a perspective on them. The point is that the Nifty 50, many of them just disappeared. I happened to work for one of them at that time, and that was Polaroid. I was kind of the fair-haired boy at 30 years old of Polaroid, and I had the opportunity, as it was, to be invited to Cambridge, Massachusetts, and have dinner with Dr. Edwin Land. It was kind of a reward for what I had done with selling film and cameras in Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, and western Wisconsin. Had a wonderful territory, and that's another story. But I sat down with Dr. Land, and I'll never forget this conversation, because to me, in my mind at that time, he was equivalent to Thomas Edison, and as an inventor. And I asked Dr. Land, I said, what is the future of photography? And this was probably around 1978, 1977. And he said to me, well, Kerry, he said, in the future, a college student will go to class and he will take a device out of his pocket and he will walk to the blackboard where yes, we had blackboards back then, where the professor has put the notes on the blackboard, and he will take the device out of his pocket and it will be a camera. And he will take a picture of the blackboard, and then he will take it home to his dorm room, and he will download that onto another device, and it will appear there. This same device will have a recorder in it, and he'll be able to record the lecture of the professor. This was in 1977, 1978. What Dr. Land described to me was an iPhone. There was no such thing as an iPhone at that time. Right about that same time, I now know, in 1978, some scientists at Eastman Kodak made a presentation to the board of directors where they presented a camera which was about the size of a toaster, and it was able to produce a digital picture. This was the first digital camera known to mankind in the board of directors at Eastman Kodak. And Eastman Kodak directors looked at it and said, George, we're a chemical and paper company. We have no interest in digital photography. Kodak is a chemical and paper company. Well, Kodak went bankrupt within the next 20 years. So that gives you some, as did Polaroid, as did many of the companies. Another one that really sticks out in my mind is, as a Polaroid camera salesman, I did a lot of business with Kmart. They're out of business. I did a lot of business with Sears and Roebuck, who bought Kmart, and they're out of business. And the crazy thing about that is Kmart had what Amazon has become. They had a catalog, which they discontinued, which if they would have digitalized it, would be in the business now. So my question then comes back to, as I showed you in the thumbnail, are these 6, 7 companies another Nifty 50, with a smaller number? And that's a legitimate question. And I think we need to recognize that there could be some events that occur that could make Google go the same direction as Eastman Kodak. Google depends 86% of its revenues come from advertising. I have told you in other videos that advertising will disappear. There is no, look at your TV and look at, we only watch normal TV around the news. And who are advertising? Pharmaceutical companies. AstraZeneca. I have no idea what AstraZeneca does, but it tells me that I might need it and I need to consult my doctor for it. So it's asking me to consult my doctor if I need AstraZeneca. In the future, that will be a non-issue. My phone, AI, artificial intelligence, that will know everything about my body and how it functions, will tell me if I need AstraZeneca, because it will also know through artificial intelligence what exactly AstraZeneca does and how it will interact with my body. So there's no reason for whomever the pharmaceutical company is to advertise to me, because I'm not going to make the decision. The same with Crest toothpaste. There will be no reason for them to advertise to me, because my AI will tell me if Colgate's better for me. So Google's business will go away in advertising, as will the advertising for Facebook, who is the second largest company in advertising. So my point is are these companies another Nifty 50? Yes, possibly, but no, not if they pay attention. As I was talking to David, I was saying I just read an article about a company that has a piece of software that they have developed that basically will, in this video, I will be able to attach it to this video, and when I start the video, it will open up with, "Hey, Peter in Sweden, I made this video for you," and I will be able to use Peter's name throughout the video as I cue the video to do it. Now, how can they do that? Because when Peter clicks on this video on YouTube, Google, who owns YouTube, knows his name. They know where he lives. They know everything about him. And through a simulation of my voice, they will be able to put his name into my video. That's powerful. And I believe that either Google or Facebook will buy this software and make it their own. Because again, think about if you use Facebook, you're strolling down and there's a video and you stop on it because Facebook is truly knows what you're interested in. You stop on it long enough for it to say, "Hey, Carrie, noticed you've been looking for a new Canon camera, and this is what we think you should take a look at. By the way, I'm shooting with my new Canon camera right now." Would that stop me? Would that create an interest for me? Would it, if it went into the video on Facebook, it also said, "Hey, we recognize that you're a premier YouTube videoer"? Would that grab my attention? Would it keep me focused on the video? Yes, it would. So when you tell me, or I consider, is Facebook going to go the route of Eastman Kodak? No, I don't think so. I think Facebook owns the Oculus goggles, just bought a piece of a company, a mapping company, I believe it was out of Switzerland maybe, that maps the surroundings, basically on the same concept of Wikipedia, that it's open source. And so now with their Oculus goggles, they can access that video, that mapping, and take me on a tour of the Roman Colosseum. I believe Facebook is way ahead. They are not an Eastman Kodak. I can't tell you, having sat with Dr. Land in 1977, why Polaroid did not adapt, other than I know Dr. Land got sick and died, and more than likely his management team that he left behind did not adapt. So my message to you is these are the 6, 7, 8, NVIDIA, you can put other companies in there that are going to change the world, and you need to own them. As David from Houston said to me, yeah, but do I buy them now or do I wait for a dip? And I shared with him, my strategy is I'm 38% in cash now. I don't think Amazon's going to drop to $1,700 a share or $1,200 a share, no matter what happens in the world. So I am holding 38% of my cash to buy into to bottom feed on some companies, like I believe Simon Properties will drop down to a gap. I will buy some. And as it goes back up $20, I'll gain a 33% gain. I'll cash them in, and I'll then use that money to buy more Amazon, more Facebook, more Google, more Microsoft, more Tesla. Because those are the people that when I reach my end, when and wherever that might be, that's who I want to own. The demise of the Nifty 50 occurred in between 1973 and 1974 when the Dow Jones fell 45%. We've had that. We had that in March. And some of the stocks, Xerox fell 71%, Avon fell 86%, and Polaroid dropped 91%. And it was due, in fact, if I was alive then, so I remember, inflation got extremely high. I was buying a house. My mortgage rate was 14%. So our economy was very, very different. And these stocks dropped and then really didn't recover for 10 years. Many of them never got back up to their prices prior to 1973. As a famous quote right after the demise of the Nifty 50 from a gentleman by the name of Geist was, investors who aren't fairly diversified are going to get murdered in the marketplace. You can say the S&P 500 or the Nifty 50 will make you rich, but you can also make you gray and die prematurely. There's some wisdom in that. There is some need to be diversified. I personally have a little difficulty with it. I'm not going to diversify into the banks because I believe cryptocurrency will put the banks out of business. I'm not going to diversify into credit cards because I think my phone will replace credit cards. And my phone will either be attached to Apple Pay or Facebook Pay or Google Pay. I'm not going to diversify into insurance because it doesn't set well with me that I'm 75 years old, I'm healthy, I work out, I'm the fastest 75 to 80-year-old in the state of Alabama in the 50-meter dash, the 100-meter dash, and the 200-meter dash, and yet I'm in an insurance pool with other 75 to 80 years olds that sit on the sofa and watch daytime TV, eat Twinkies, smoke cigarettes, and drink Coca-Cola. So in the near future, insurance will become blockchain. And people like me will gather together and we will insure each other and we will pay each other. We will eliminate the big building that houses executives of insurance companies, the salesmen that knock on doors and sell insurance, And that will all change. This will also happen in health insurance. Why should I be charged the same amount for health insurance as the guy eating Twinkies and watching TV and smoking? It doesn't make sense to me. I have never had an automobile accident. Why should I be in the same insurance pool? And a lot of insurance companies are changing this. I have a monitor on my car that tells them how fast I drive relative to the speed limit, how hard I brake, and how much I swerve. So some of that is changing, but all of that will go to blockchain. So I'm not going to diversify into companies like that. I see cruise companies, airline companies, very vulnerable to the next virus. There will be another virus, and unless the tech companies find a way to identify that virus early and identify the pockets that have the virus and quarantine them, then that's where I want to be again. So this, and again, I'm a retired financial advisor, and diversification was the name of the game. It was what I insisted that everybody do. You have to have banks, you have to have insurance companies, you have to have stock, tech, you have to have all the utilities, you have to have dividends. I don't think that way anymore. I think with the convergence of technology and the disruption of that technology, the market is going to change. Now, something else I want to share with you that probably is going to disrupt your day. I talk about artificial intelligence and how it's going to tell me what toothpaste I need to buy. Artificial intelligence is going to tell you what stock to buy as well. Artificial intelligence is going to know your life situation, going to know your bank account, going to know your financial needs, and is going to be a hell of a lot smarter than I am about the stock market. And artificial intelligence will wake you up, David, and say, David in Houston, you need to sell this and buy this based upon your personal needs. That's in the future. But I want to own the companies that's going to make it happen.